All right, everyone, it is official. It is official. We are back. The Foodie Filmmaker Podcast is back in session. Let's go. Oh yeah, so as you can see, we are in a new setup. This is actually the new studio. It's actually in the same location. It's just that they changed the room that it's in, and they changed obviously the whole setup and everything. In my personal opinion, it looks amazing, and it's not even done yet. They told me they still need to put in some finishing touches to the place, but so far right now, it looks amazing. It looks absolutely stunning here. I'm actually quite nervous right now just because this setup is actually, it looks a lot more like an actual podcast studio now. It looks beautiful, and it looks like it's amazing. I can already see how many amazing things are gonna happen in here. But yeah, I'm so happy to finally be able to come back and be able to share some good stuff with you guys. Be able to jump back on the podcast because it had been a while. It had been a while, and I know a lot of you thought that maybe I had stopped making these, or maybe I just got unmotivated or something that, led me to just not make any more episodes. But no, that's not it at all. I actually wanted to make some more, but just that, they were currently setting up the podcast studio here. And at the same time, I was kind of busy as well. So I didn't really have that much time to spare to look for another studio. And I didn't really want to. I like the studio that I have here, and it was good. It worked. And so I wanted to just wait patiently until it was ready to go. Where do we begin? Because I'm still trying to remember where we left off. It's been maybe 2-3 months ever since I hopped on this podcast, and a lot of stuff has happened. Obviously, I'm very thankful to all the clients and all the restaurants and everybody who's believed in me and my team that I've worked with as well, that has believed in us to hop on and let us do your marketing, let us do your content. To me, it's truly an honor and really a privilege, and I feel extremely happy and excited every time a restaurant reaches out and they want to do some content together. They want to collaborate because, to me, I appreciate each and every one of those restaurants that does that, because I never take any collaborations for granted. Every single one of them, I treat them as an opportunity, as if it was the first one, and so it's always special, and I always try to do my best every time I go in. I collaborate with somebody, with a restaurant or anybody, and it's always a good experience after all. And so I'm very thankful to everybody who's been there, who supported me and my team, like I said, and everybody who I work with. Very thankful for that, and thank you for everybody also who's been patient, who's been patiently waiting for the new episode. I've actually seen that some other foodies have been part of other podcasts, and that's exciting to me. That's really exciting because it shows the power of podcasting. And I've always believed in it from a very long time. Obviously, it took me a while for me to actually hop on and start my own. I've already kind of spoken about the reasons why it took me a while. Really, the main reason is just that, I'm an introvert, and, jumping on a podcast, doing a whole long hour episode, it's not the easiest thing, because, talking and, having conversations and stuff like that, it's not something that comes natural to me. It's something that obviously I had to work really hard towards, but here we are. Like I said, I do this for you guys because I want to share things with you, share valuable stuff. And yes, hopefully we have some guests coming up in the future. Definitely, I think this studio is going to be a whole lot better. It's going to be a better experience for me and for the guests, because the way everything's set up here, it's going to get very comfortable for them as well. And so we will get to that. Of course, I feel like I may need a few more episodes for me to just get back into the rhythm of making the episodes, just because we took quite a long break here. But once we're good to go, probably by the beginning of next year, we should be taking in some guests to come on. As of now, we've only had one guest, and that has been Thomas, Dine on Track. Shout out to you if you're watching the episode. But yeah, go follow him as well. He's at the at the moment right now when I'm recording this episode, he's currently in Hawaii enjoying his vacation. So please do continue enjoying your vacation. Any podcast host out there who would like to host me, I am definitely available. Just let me know. Hit me up on my DMs or send me an email or anything of those lines. You can find all the links on my Instagram. You can find them here on YouTube as well down below. And yeah, just hit me up, send me a message, send me an email, and I'm sure we can set something up. Someone else who I recently saw that started her own podcast is her name is Lisette, and she's a Latina foodie content creator, and it looks pretty promising. I know she just recently released one episode, and it looks great. Like from what I saw, like the setup and the conversation, the communication, the vibe, and everything. It looked great. It looked fantastic, and congratulations to you. And yeah, it looks very promising. I really hope that maybe at some point in the future I'm able to hop in and be able to share the stuff that I have for as far as like because I know that podcast is a little bit more on the motivational side and growth and success, which I do have experience, and I've mentioned that in this podcast as well, and I've kind of left I've given you guys like links and stuff to the other podcasts that I used to do with my previous boss that was more focused on motivation, success, and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean that podcast looks absolutely great, and yeah, I mean I really wish for you the best for all the upcoming episodes that you have, and yeah, if I could be part of it too, I would definitely like to hop on and share whatever insights that I can with your audience, and hopefully help out a couple of creators out there who are looking for any tips or any insight, awareness, or anything that could be helpful towards growing their journey as a content creator. So here I am, and so I do want to get into the topic because I did have a specific topic that I wanted to share, and for some reason I feel like it fell into the good timing, just because, like I said, I recently saw that podcast started with Lisette, and it was like more towards like motivation and stuff, and I did want to do an episode where I kind of spoke about motivation and being a content creator as well, and how those two kind of came together. And so I wanted to kind of talk about how those two kind of blend, and if you really need motivation in order to be a content creator, and how it affects you if you are motivated versus if you're not motivated. So how do you go about this? So first of all, do you really need to be motivated? So first of all, actually, before we even get into that, I do want to say that I want to branch out of just providing you guys with information that's solely based on being a food content creator, and I want to generalize it a little bit more so that you're able to apply it for any sort of content creation pursuits that you may have. So basically, you can apply everything that I say from now on as a content creator in general. So whatever industry that you're in, plus I have been part of other industries, so I can speak from experience. I haven't only been doing food, but I've done other industries where I've created content for them as well. So it definitely helps once you're part of different industries. You create content in different industries. You get to learn a lot, because every single industry, even though you may be using the same equipment, you may be using the same editing software and stuff like that, and to some degree, you do sort of use similar angles and shots. Everything has its own style, everything has its own vibe, its own storyline, its own way of being shot. And so you learn different things depending on what industry you're in, because sometimes you can shoot alone. Sometimes you just need the actual thing to be there. Maybe you're shooting like real estate or something, so you only need like the house itself to be there, and you can shoot the whole thing and it'll look cool. And then but maybe you're shooting like a skit or something, so then now you're working with other people, and so now you have to not only know how to shoot and place your cameras properly and your lighting, but also you need to make sure that your actors and whoever is part of the skit, you got to make sure that they shine through as well, that they look good. So you got to direct them as far as like how they look, how they present themselves, how they speak, and stuff like that, right? So there's a lot of elements that go into shooting a skit, and so you can learn a lot of things from like shooting here and there. And so, yeah, but there are, I believe, certain principles that do apply for every single industry, and that they will kind of be similar. And I would say this is more into the like motivational part of it, and more like in the mindset area, whereas like where you basically it's your approach, right? It's the thing that it's the mindset, it's how you approach the content creation before it even happens. So yeah, so that's kind of what I want to talk about here today. So do you need motivation? Do you need to be motivated? Do you need to be fueled and ready to go, right? Do you need to be like, all right, let's get it done, like LFG, let's fucking go, right? Do you really need that? Do you really need to be that lit up? Do you need to be fired up? Do you need like a routine? Do you need to like take something, do you take a shot or something, before you start your content creation stuff, in order for it to come out amazing and really good? And the thing is here is that I don't believe that you necessarily need it, even though obviously I believe that it could be very helpful if you are motivated and you have that fire in you in order to go and make stuff happen. But do you really need to be motivated? And I think that the answer is no. You don't really need to be motivated. Well, but what you really do need to have is you need to have a goal. You need to have a specific reason as to why you're doing the content creation in the first place. Because if you don't have a certain direction, you don't have a goal, you don't have a specific measure, like a specific thing that you want to get out of content creation, then you're basically just dabbling in it, and you're basically just waiting for the motivation to kick in so that you go and you create something. And the thing is that if you're treating this as more of a hobby and something that you just want to do just to pass your time, to enjoy yourself, and just to have a good time, then yes, you can treat it, you can wait until you're just motivated, here and there. You might be motivated like once a week to go and shoot something, and it comes out great, because you were motivated, you were in the zone, you really dialed into your content creation wherever it is that you went to shoot, right? If it's a hobby, that's okay, because it's not something that's definitely important. You probably have something else in your life that's important, and so that's what's taking up most of your time. However, if you're thinking about doing this as more of a serious thing, you want to do this, perhaps you want to be a full-time creator, or you want to I don't know, maybe you want to do something similar to what I do, which is social media management. So you want to take over social media accounts from restaurants and then create content for them on their behalf, on their accounts. Then obviously you're going to have to be creating content a lot more consistently. There will be times where you're not motivated. There will be times where you're just exhausted, you're burned out, you don't feel like going out and shooting stuff, and that's okay. That's one of the things that you really got to learn with this, is that when you're treating this as more of a serious thing, there will be times where you just don't feel like it, and you have to really train yourself, and not only train yourself, but also accept that sometimes you just won't feel like it. Sometimes you won't be in the zone. Sometimes you won't be necessarily pumped and ready to go. You won't have that fire in you. Sometimes all you would want to do is just go home and rest. Maybe sometimes you just want to go and hang out with your friends, or you want to go and do something fun. You want to do something exciting, and probably creating content is not the most exciting thing at that moment. But at the same time, this is why I say that it's more important for you to have an actual reason than it is to be motivated, because cultivating motivation is a lot harder than it is to really think about your reason as to why you're doing what you're doing. So here's the thing, like let's say right now, I'm doing this podcast, right? And maybe I'm not feeling motivated, right? And as a matter of fact, this is actually a good example, because I actually booked this like 2 days ago, and then I woke up this morning. I was so sleepy. I was just sleepy. You could probably notice that I'm actually a little bit sleepy still, and so you could probably notice that right now, like, or maybe not. I don't know, but I woke up pretty tired, pretty sleepy, and all I really wanted to do was go back to bed and sleep and take a good nap and just relax at home. I didn't want to be out here. I didn't want to come out all the way here into the studio and record a podcast session because I could have easily just hit up the podcast room and being like, hey, you know what? I don't think it's gonna happen. Can I postpone for another day? And so I could have easily done that, but did I do it? I didn't do it. I still came through, even though I wasn't really in the zone. I did get myself some coffee and something to eat, but I don't think it really helped as much. It helped a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of what happens when you consume a lot of coffee. You start to get immune to the caffeine, and so one coffee, two coffees doesn't really do it anymore. You feel a little bit, but you really need to drink like 5 or 6 in order to start feeling something, and that's really not good though, because it's not good for your stomach to be able to be drinking that many coffees in one day. And so you just kind of gotta accept it. And so that's kind of what it is for me. At the end of the day, I recognize that I have a goal here with this podcast, and that is to share my thoughts, share what I feel, and share what I know, the knowledge that I've acquired throughout the years of content creation. I want to share those with you, and I want to build a relationship with everybody who's a fan of mine, because I do acknowledge that there is a lot of individuals out there who watch this podcast and who watch me and who enjoy just watching me talk here and share what's going on here. And some of you even probably I hear me talk more in this podcast than you do in person, just because in person, I don't really talk. Like, if you see me in person, you'll probably see me just chilling somewhere, and I don't really communicate with other people. I'm not really much of a yapper, and so I kind of just only talk when it's needed. And for the most part, you just kind of find me in the zone, just shooting stuff or editing. That's kind of my element type of deal. But like I said, I have a goal with this podcast, and I want to share things with you guys, and I want to have conversations with other foodies as well, which is why, eventually I want to have the guest here. And I think this is an amazing like way to do it. And so that's why I decided, like, hey, you know what? I got to come through. I got to shoot this episode, and I got to get the wheels going. I got to get everything going again, And so that's how we came about doing this episode. So it wasn't necessarily much of a motivational thing. Like I said, I wasn't motivated. I didn't come up here and it was like, I didn't come into the room and I was like, hey, I'm ready. I'm fueled. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to shoot my episode right now. That was definitely not the case. But I know exactly my reason why I'm doing this podcast. And also that reason has to be very personal. It has to be a strong one. It has to be a reason that really matters to you. And so it can't be a reason that came from the outside world. It can't be something that your friend told you, or that your parents told you, or your significant other told you. You can't be doing it for those reasons. It's got to be a reason that comes straight from you, straight from the heart, something that you cultivate, something that you really give a good thought about, and you're like, you know what, that makes sense to me. That is a valid reason why I should do this, and you go out and you just do it. But so as long as you have a reason, I think that matters a lot more, because that allows you to perform even in the times when you're not motivated, even in the times when you're not feeling it. And will you be motivated here and there? Yes, of course. And should you push it away? Absolutely not. Once you do come to a point where you do come to that day of the week where you are motivated, please take advantage of it, because motivation plus having the reason as to why you're doing what you're doing, that is an amazing combo. So, you always want to wish for the motivation to land on a day where you're going to be creating like a special type of content. Like maybe you have like that special restaurant or that special collab, or, you're going to that special event or something like that, right? You always want the motivation to hit at those times, because you have a strong reason for why you're doing it, and at the same time you have the motivation. So when both of those clash together, you can produce amazing content. Not to say that you can't produce also when you're not motivated, and when you just have your strong reason, because you can also perform. And I myself have created amazing pieces of content even when I'm not motivated. I'm just like, I gotta do this because I gotta get this and that. This is where I'm going. Let's get it done, and I get it done, and that's basically like all I need. And sometimes that's basically all it takes. And once I see the final result, I like it, other people like it. You guys have probably seen pieces of content that you guys loved, and you guys have no idea how I was feeling when I was producing that piece of content. I could have been too that I was motivated while I was shooting it, but then when it comes to the editing stage, I'm probably all like tired and stuff, and like all like worn out because because like maybe I've been editing a lot before that point, and so when it comes to editing that video, I'm like, oh, like, so then the editing stage becomes a little bit like I'm not as motivated, but I still need to get it done. Another thing too is that motivation is an emotion, and so emotions come and go, and so even if you do feel motivated at a certain point and you're ready to go, you can't really control that because it's an emotion. So every single emotion, of course, you can keep a kind of like, what do you call it? When you can kind of manifest that motivation, right? You can kind of think about it over and over again, so it stays with you. So like, for example, like for motivation, right? So if you're motivated, you can kind of just manifest more motivation and kind of just think about how motivated you are, trying to keep that feeling together. But the thing is the emotions come and go. Every single emotion that you feel, it's all temporary. You don't feel sad all the time. You don't feel happy all the time. You don't feel motivated all the time. And so it's a little bit hard to control, and it's a little bit hard to get a really grasp onto it, which is why I say in this podcast that you shouldn't solely rely on that. Even though it's a great thing, I'm not saying that it's bad, but at the same time, I just wouldn't make it a requirement because like I said, it's not sustainable, and it's not something that you can just summon at will. However, what you can summon at will is your reason as to why you're doing what you're doing, because that is an actual thought, and you can always take it beyond that and maybe have it written on a piece of paper, have it on your phone. You can record yourself and just kind of play it back. If you have like a specific like mantra or like a speech as to why you're doing what you're doing, you can record yourself and then just kind of play that back whenever you're going through adversity or you're going through a hard time. You can always play that, and that can definitely help you out there. So have a strong reason as to why you've became a content creator. So why are you creating content, whatever industry that you're in? Like I said, just have a strong reason. It doesn't matter, like I said, as long as it's personal, as long as it makes sense to you, that's all that matters. And use that all the time in order for you to go out there and perform and make things happen and stay consistent in your content creation journey. Now, another thing that I want to talk about here is is a few things that I want to talk a little bit about the adversaries that foodies face as far as like what happens behind the scenes. And this is just personal experience. I'm not saying that every single foodie goes through this. I personally think that I go through this just because I take this a little bit more seriously, and probably more serious creators face these kind of issues and stuff like that. Not to say that all of them do, but here are some that I personally face here and there, just because like I'm very relentless and I try to do as many collabs as possible, and sometimes the logistics just happen to just crumble and everything just kind of seems to collide and everything. So I was actually having a conversation with my good friend Simon yesterday about this, so shout out Simon if you're watching this. But yeah, we were kind of we went to eat last night, and we were just kind of talking about, actually he was the one who was asking me. He was actually, I want to say he kind of was asking me about like a little bit about the food industry, but then he started to kind of say like how amazing it would be to become a foodie because of all the perks, right? And you guys probably, as foodies watching this, you guys have probably heard other people tell you this, maybe not, but this is a very common thing that we tend to hear a lot, and that is that, if you're a foodie, wow, like that must be so cool. You're living the life. That's amazing because you get to go out every single day and try new food and eat all this delicious food, and like all you do is just eat and you get paid for it, and that's awesome. Like how amazing is that? That's the job. That's the dream job that I want, right? And the thing is that at the end of the day, that's while that while there is some truth to that, because you do obviously get to eat a lot, and for the most part you do get to eat very different kinds of food, because you, for the most part, the invites can be all random. So it's not usually just from one specific type of food. So you get to try like very different variations of food. While that may be true to some extent, for the most part, it hasn't really been that way. And so here's some of the stuff that I've had to face. I think the most crucial one for me has been facing a lot of stomach illness. So it's just a lot of stomach aches, a lot of stuff that it just doesn't land well. And so sometimes I do have to work through that, and it's something that you get used to at some point. At first, obviously, it was kind of bothering. It was uncomfortable because, like, say, I'm starting my week, right? So it's Monday, and I have a few shoots that day, and then somewhere along the lines, at some point, there's a shoot on Monday that I eat something, it doesn't land well, I get a stomach ache, and then, my Monday is screwed, right? But sometimes that illness does go on and it prolongs for quite a while. So it's kind of a long-lasting illness, and it goes on maybe for an entire week. So for that entire week, my stomach just doesn't feel well. It feels like upset. And so the thing is that for the most part, I usually do schedule a week in advance. And so for that whole week, I already have shoots already set up, and I have to go and I have to try all these things. And sometimes there is food along the way that I really do want to eat. And I'll talk about that in a second, but there are places that I'm like really excited to go. And so the thing is that I may be excited, and mentally I'm like, oh man, like that place, damn, I can't wait to try it, right? But, my stomach is not feeling well. And unfortunately, since everything's scheduled, I still have to go to these places. I still have to shoot, and I still have to eat some of the food just to try it and see how good it is before I post it and everything. Sometimes the owners want feedback as far as like how their food was made and how everything tastes. And so I have to actually try it. And so sometimes I have to try it for the video itself as well. And so I have to be eating all this food in spite of me feeling uncomfortable, in spite of me feeling the stomach illness. And it's just, it's brutal, right? It's brutal. And yes, you could take medicine and all that stuff, and it helps for the most part. But sometimes, you take the medicine, but then you gotta go and start eating again, And it's like, the effects of the medicine don't hit that well, because, usually you're supposed to take the medicine and then kind of chill for a little bit. But there's no time for that, because I have already scheduled shoots, and I don't really like to cancel that many. I have canceled a few shoots here and there, but very rarely would I ever cancel anybody, because like I said, I really treat every collab as the first collab, and I really appreciate every single time I get one. And so, like I said, I never take those for granted, so I rarely ever cancel those, or like, pretend that or reschedule them or anything like that. So I usually try to be there on time, and I usually try to do my best work. And so unfortunately, yeah, so sometimes, stomach illness, it happens all the time. And so that's quite one of the big ones. And so another stuff is that, sometimes you're just full. You go to one shoot after another, and you're full. You're just like, oh my goodness, like I don't want to eat anymore. And so that tends to happen sometimes. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood for eating, Sometimes I'm like, I've kind of ate everything that I've wanted to possibly eat. So like, I'm not even in the mood for eating. Like I just want to like drink something. I just want to drink some water, man. I just want to drink a juice, a smoothie, for crying out loud. And I don't get that. I'm having to eat a burger. I'm having to eat Korean barbecue. I'm like, oh my goodness, like Korean barbecue, that's one of the heavy ones there. And so sometimes I do have to go to Korean barbecue, and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm looking at the meat, and it smells good. It smells really good, but then I have to eat it, and I'm like, oh man, like, like it's kind of a painful situation there, but it must be done, because it's the job, it's something that must be done. And so I get through it, I film it, I shoot it, and then I go and like, well, I just kind of got to take the hit, my stomach not feeling well. I still got to do what I got to do. There's obviously the one about just not being in the zone, just not really being there. Maybe you're stressed, or you're just burned out, or maybe you got got like a personal issue or something, something else is taking over your mental focus, and so you're not able to really dial into the collab. But you still have to be there, you still have to do your thing. So that's happened to me a lot of times as well, where I'm just not in the mood, I'm just not there. I'm just not there to I'm not really like excited, I'm not really like really feeling it. So that's where having a good reason kicks in, and you just kind of gotta go through that, even though you're feeling burned out, even though you're feeling like not in the zone, you don't feel like smiling. Sometimes I gotta get on video, and I gotta show my reactions and maybe talk about a little bit about the spot, and I'm just not in the mood, I'm just like out of it. But I have to perform. So when it comes to the actual job, when it comes to doing the work, I have to do it. And the only way to really do that is to have a strong reason as to why you're doing it to begin with. There's like the times where you're just out of creative fuel. So it kind of relates to like being burned out, but sometimes you just come to a blank. You just don't know what to do. You arrive at the place and you just have no idea what you're gonna shoot. You have no idea where you're gonna shoot. You have no idea what you're gonna say. I mean, like, you just don't know what items you're gonna pick. You just don't know how you're gonna review this stuff. And that's kind of an issue, because like usually, like, I mean, I have a specific content creation process, and part of that process is knowing what you're gonna shoot. That way, when you're in the editing stage becomes much easier, because you already know what you shot for. You already know how you want your video to look like at the end of the shoot. So it helps in the editing stage, as contrary to somebody who just shoots at random, and then in the editing stage they try to put something together. But I usually don't do it that way. I used to do it that way, and I figured that it took a lot longer to edit, because like you have no idea like where you're gonna put what. You don't know where anything goes. You just shot at random. You just shot a bunch of shots, and then you're just hoping that everything kind of falls in place some way, somehow, right? But I, for the most part, I like to know at least have a good idea, good general idea as to how I want the video to look, and so I will shoot the shots that I need in order for the video to look a certain way, and then I'll shoot a few extra shots just out of random, just to see if like maybe I can integrate one of those into the video as well, like, because I could be creative in one area when it comes to the shooting part, and then I could get creative in the editing stage as well. And having extra footage allows me to explore a different area of creativity that I wouldn't have if I didn't have that extra footage, because then I'd be stuck with just the footage that I kind of envisioned at first. And so that's kind of, I'm really just stuck there. But if I have extra footage, then of course, I have extra footage, I can play around with it, I can modify it, I can switch out, I can swap out shots. Maybe when I was envisioning it, I saw it shot working, but then when I saw it on the software, when I'm looking at it while I'm editing it on the software, it doesn't look good. So then I'm able to just swap out that shot, be like, you know what, it doesn't really work with all these other shots. Swap that one out, put another one in, and that's always helpful if you have extra shots. But if you don't have them, then obviously you can't really do that. But yeah, so that's pretty much how I operate when I go and I shoot stuff. I would love to share that process with you guys, and I will do that at some point here in the studio in a podcast episode where I'll just share with you my entire content creation process, so you guys can hear how I go about that, and maybe you guys get inspired. Maybe you guys want to replicate some of it. Maybe you guys want to do something similar to that. But yeah, that's kind of one of the things that I do. And so when I'm facing a blank, that's kind of an issue, like I said, because I have no idea. So then, like, for those instances, I just have to start shooting. I just go based off of like it's basically just instinct. It's basically just muscle memory, and like basically just going back to the basics and just shooting stuff in a very basic way. Shoot things the way that you would shoot if you were just you've had no knowledge of shooting. Just start shooting stuff, and so little by little, as you start shooting a little bit more, usually the creativity starts to kick in, but you kind of have to like jump start it when you face those kind of situations. Another issue that I have sometimes is taking the wrong +1, and maybe some of you guys know, but if you guys are foodies, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you guys are not food bloggers, influencers, whatever you want to call yourselves, if you guys are none of those, then what happens is that sometimes when you get invited by a restaurant to go and shoot, usually they allow you to take one guest, usually, at least for the most part. Some places will allow you to take 2 or 3, depending on how many followers you have. You could take the whole family or something. But for every place, you can at least take one. Like that'll be the no matter how many followers you have, you'll usually get at least one, unless they're gifting you like a really expensive thing, then they'll probably just say to just come alone, right? But for the most part, they'll allow you to bring at least one guest, and so. Usually when you bring a guest, the first thing that comes to mind is taking like one of your best friends, right? You want to take one of your friends, one of your closest friends. You want to take him to experience what it's like to come to a shoot and get free food and all that stuff, right? But sometimes they turn out to not be the best plus one. This basically comes down to miscommunication, really, because as a plus one, sometimes they're not aware of the fact that they will be put to work, and you as the content creator sometimes don't tell them. You just tell them that they're going to come through for free food, but what they don't know is that they're as plus ones, they also have to put in the work as far as hand modeling. They probably have to shoot you doing stuff. Maybe they'll shoot you eating, they'll shoot you talking, and then on top of that, they have to wait until you're done shooting everything. So then you'll probably shoot some stuff in the kitchen if that's something that you do. But for the most part, not many food bloggers shoot in the kitchen. So most of them shoot outside. So that means that all the food will be sitting outside, and you'll be the one shooting it, and then your plus one is just kind of there like waiting. So sometimes they get impatient. They don't want to cooperate. They don't want to help as far as doing the hand modeling or shooting you or stuff like that, right? Or doing like certain movements with the food, like pouring sauces or like dipping or like breaking things or stuff like that, right? There's a lot of things you can do in order to highlight food, and so they don't want to do it. They just start to complain, and they put on like these faces that they don't want to help, and it's kind of annoying, right? But at the same time, it's miscommunication. So definitely, if you're going to take a plus one, make sure you let them know ahead of time that they will be doing all these things. And if they're okay with it, if they're not, it's better if you just don't take them at all. Because, if they're going to be that way, you might as well just go and hang out. And you guys can go and hang out, go and eat and enjoy yourselves, but don't do it in the shoot. Just go out as a normal eat out. But if you're going to take someone as a plus one, make sure they understand that they're going to be put to work and they're going to be helping out. And so some plus ones will understand this. And but another problem as well is that can happen with a plus one is that you take another foodie as a plus one. And now all of a sudden, because they're also foodies, and they also want to create content for their page, all of a sudden they forget they're plus ones and they think they're the main content creator, and then they start to shoot their own content. And not only that, but then they asking you to shoot content for them. So now you got to shoot your own content and stuff like that. And like that's another thing too. You got to really communicate with the other person. Like, be like, hey, you know what? You're coming in as a guest and you're coming in to help me. I understand you're a foodie as well, but I don't want you shooting. I don't want you shooting because that's not what we're here for. Like, unless of course you guys are going in a joint collab. Whereas you're collaborating and they're collaborating as well. So you both kind of got the invite and you guys are both going at the same time. Then that's a different story, obviously, because you both got your own collab, and so it's communicated beforehand that you both have a collab and you both will be filming. So at that point, you guys can help each other out and film each other and stuff like that. But if that's not the case, if they're just coming in as a guest, then they shouldn't be shooting at all. Like I've had to shoot other foodies, when they come as a plus one. And I'm like, why? Like, and I understand, like, to some degree, like maybe like they're not getting enough collabs or something. Their pages are getting dry or something, or maybe the collab that you have it's actually a very special one. It's like a place that they will never get invited to, and so they want to shoot just so that they get noticed or something like that, right? And so I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna shoot something like that, you gotta be aware that you're basically on your own, because you're kind of choosing to do that. It's not like, you're not obligated to do that. So then the main shooter shouldn't be obligated to help you out either, because like, it's basically, at the end of the day, they're the ones responsible for delivering a good piece of content, not you. You're a plus one. Like, nobody's really expecting anything from you. If you want to do something, that could be on your own. But what I would say is that if you really, really want to do that, communicate with the other person and be like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna be shooting this as well, but don't you worry, like, you shoot the way you want to shoot, and I'll just be like on the sidelines, like, whatever I'm able to shoot, I'll shoot it. And yeah, but you always want to be helpful as well to the main shooter. And so those are a couple things that happen, besides the main one that I definitely face a lot, and I think a lot of foodies face a lot, is the Resistance Task Force. And we've spoken about the Resistance Task Force for quite a while in this podcast, and I do still need to make a full episode just on the Resistance Task Force. I need to make the title of the podcast Resistance Task Force. Basically, all the restaurant owners, that place resistance upon the foodie, influencer, whatever you want to call yourself. The resistance can come in many forms, as far as like, you go to the place, they have no idea who you are, they have no idea what you're doing there, they have no idea what to give you. Complete resistance, right? After you spoke to somebody in the DMs, right? You spoke to someone in there, and all of a sudden, or maybe an email, and then you go to the place, and like, it's just, what the hell, like, who are you, right? So that's the first type of resistance. And then there's the resistance as far as like, what kind of items you get, and a certain number of them. And then like, there's just resistance like all around, like, they don't want to let you in the kitchen, they don't want you to film certain things. It's just crazy. Talking about the Resistance Task Force gets me a little bit angry, because I really hate dealing with that, just because it's because on our end, we're food bloggers, and we're not exactly getting paid for the most part. Usually the Resistance Task Force comes with gifted collabs. So it's basically all these collabs where you go, and all they're going to give you is free food in exchange for content. So it's usually those restaurant owners, the ones that give the most resistance. Usually if you're going to a paid collab, there rarely is resistance, because they know they got to pay. And so for the most part, when it's a paid collab, usually like they'll try to set up everything for you, because they know that they're investing money into this shoot. So they want to make sure that everything goes well. So for the most part, when it's a paid collab, there won't be that much Resistance Task Force. I personally haven't faced any Resistance Task Force as far as like when it comes to a paid collaboration. All the Resistance Task Force has been really on gifted collabs, when they're just going to give me free food in exchange of content. And it's annoying. It's really something that I hate, because like, look, man, I'm taking time out of my day. Sometimes the places that I go are pretty far. And so I'm going all the way over there, wasting my time, wasting my money going over there. And then I get there, and then they just have no idea what the hell is going on. And if you don't know what's going on, I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. I spoke to somebody on the DMs. They have no idea who even manages the damn Instagram. And it's crazy. It drives me nuts, because I'm like, yo, like, how are you going to have me come all the way out here? And when I get here, nobody knows what's going on. Like, that is just unacceptable. And so, yeah, so that's one of the things you face as a food blogger, and I don't think a lot of people know that, but you kind of gotta have a certain amount of patience and resilience, really, to be able to deal with that, because sometimes I have walked away. Sometimes that's how angry I get. Sometimes sometimes the Resistance Task Force is very strong that I'll just walk away and I won't care, because like, I'm like, yo, like I said, I'm putting in all this effort. You have no idea what's going on. I'm just here like confused and I don't know what to do. Sometimes there's been times where I'm like looking forward to the collab, and because I'm looking forward to it, I decide not to eat anything right before that collab. I decide that, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and starve myself and wait until the collab happens in order for me to really indulge into the collab and enjoy the food. And then there goes the resistance, and so now I'm hungry, and now I'm going into hangry mode because I'm hungry, and food is not being served, and all that's being served is resistance task force, and we don't want that. That's we don't want resistance for our bellies. So especially as a foodie, you don't want that. And so these are just a couple things that came to mind that happened behind the scenes. And so all these right here, like I said, these are all adversaries. These are all things that happen throughout your journey as a foodie. And so these are some of the things that you're going to have to address. And then, like I said, maybe this is something that doesn't happen to all foodies, just because not all foodies do this as a full-time thing. Not all foodies take this that seriously as I do. And so maybe some of you just, you guys space out your collabs pretty properly. You guys do like maybe 2 or 3 a week or something. In that case, you probably don't face that much of this because it's more of a controlled type of deal as opposed to me, where I'm doing like maybe 3-4 collabs a day. And then sometimes I'll go to a certain spot to go film. It's just a normal gifted collaboration, but then I'm in that area, and there happens to be one of my clients in that area. So then I say, why not? So then I'm shooting my client, and then I have to shoot the collab, and then like it just starts to accumulate more and more, and it's just crazy. I'm sure there's more, and I just don't have a list right now as far as like all the ones that I can share with you guys. So I don't have the entire list. But if I did put a list, we could probably go on for a whole lot more. But I think we're gonna go ahead and pause. I mean, not pause, but we're just gonna go ahead and end this episode because this is the first time, like I said, I haven't filmed one in like over 2 months, and I feel like my voice is already about to come to an end. And I actually got no water in here either, so it was fun. It was great. I mean, as far as like the experience in here, pretty good. And so that's basically the end of the episode. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel at the Foodie Filmmaker. Subscribe down below. Be sure to share this episode with your friends. Share on Instagram, tag me. If there's like a specific bit that you liked from the episode, just let me know. Put in the DMs. If you have something specific that you want me to share on the episode, you could let me know as well. Just send me a DM, email me, whatever, and I'll probably make an episode out of it. I don't really mind. I really take in and accept any topics that you guys want me to share here. But yeah, very excited, very happy to finally be able to record something and be able to kind of reach out to you guys and have something for you guys to watch and enjoy. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And yeah, shout out to everybody that has supported me, has supported my people, my team, and shout out to everybody who's been on the podcast, who's been jumping on podcast. Shout out to Lisette. And other than that, thank you very much. You could also follow me on Instagram at the Foodie Filmmaker, so you guys can see all the videos that I post there as far as like food content creation. You guys can also follow me on TikTok. Basically, it's the same videos as Instagram, but if you're on TikTok only, you guys can see all the videos there as well. And yeah. And so other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.